Welcome to the Scarlet Report. In this video, I am going to analyze Manchester United's 2-0 win over Wolves at Old Trafford, a vital win for the Red Devils. But before we actually analyze actual footage from the game, we first have to talk about how Wolves were set up by Julian Lopetegui, because that is of course relevant to how the game went and how the game unfolded as the minutes went by. So again, Wolves, just like West Ham and just like Manchester City, just like Aston Villa, are more and more favoring a 4-4-2 shape recently. Now, the key word with the 4-4-2 shape is, of course, compact. Now, the reason why West Ham were very good with their 4-4-2 shape against us in that 1-0 defeat is that they were very compact. They did not allow us to have a lot of spaces. Wolves, on the other hand, were actually quite loose. So they were set up in this shape and form. But as you can see, there was actually a lot of spaces between their defensive line and their midfield line. Of course, both of their strikers, Cunha and Costa, were not really involved in the game, which meant that their two central midfielders, Lemina and Ruben Neves, had... How to say? This is a French expression which roughly translates to having your butt stuck between two chairs, right? So they did not know what to do. Should they actually press Casemiro and Eriksen aggressively? In that case, then players like Bruno, even Sancho and Anthony, who would actually drop deep and cut inside into these spaces between the lines over here, would have more space to exploit. Or should they actually drop deeper and stand off Eriksen and Casemiro? In that case, both Casemiro and Eriksen, very good passers of the ball, creative players, would have too much time on the ball, which can also be quite dangerous. Because with the 4-4-2 formation, you have to stay compact. And the way you do that, either you have a low engagement line and a low defensive line, so you play what we call a low block, or you do the opposite. You have a high defensive line with a high engagement line, a little bit like how Unai Emery sets up his Aston Villa team, or how Pep Guardiola has used the 4-4-2 shape in the 4-1 win against Arsenal. But you cannot be loose the way Wolves were. This is why our players, especially our midfield players, were able to have a lot of time on the ball. And so this kind of disrupted Wolves' tactical plan, and this is why we looked so good and so comfortable in the first half. However, Julian Lopetegui is actually a very good tactician, and so he identified that, and he substituted Pedro Neto, who was kind of anonymous throughout the game, with Juan Hichan, switching the shape of the team into a 4-3-3 shape. Basically, Ruben Neves in that number 6 position, and then Lemina and Mateus Nunes as aggressive 8, with, of course, Juan Hichan on the right, Cunha slightly on the left, and then Costa through the middle. Now, a 4-3-3 in this situation is actually much more balanced than a 4-4-2. So it allows quite a little bit of flexibility for Wolves. Mainly, Mateus Nunes, Lemina, and Ruben Neves can actually mimic and mirror whatever Bruno, Eriksen, and Casemiro are doing. So that kind of makes it harder for our midfield trio to actually get the ball, get their foot on the ball, and create things. And then, of course, with Cunha and Juan Hichan, either you can press in a gegenpress style, in which you press aggressively with 3 forwards and 2 8s, which gives you 5 aggressive pressers of the ball, therefore disrupting the way Manchester United builds up from the back. Or you could actually be more conservative and so play more of a 4-1-4-1 position, basically a 4-4-2, but you sacrifice one striker to have an extra defensive midfielder. That still gives you a pretty compact shape, 2 banks of 4, with Ruben Neves, of course, sweeping into this area right here, protecting that number 14 area, and just clogging up any hole that Manchester United could be able to exploit. And so when Julian Lopetegui implemented these changes in the beginning of the second half, Wolves were able to gain control of the game again, and it was becoming more and more a real possibility that they would find their way back into the game and possibly even score a goal. I was quite anxious because they were having much more possession. They were actually creating some good phases of play, but we were still able to win because of various factors that we are gonna see in the actual footage from the game. Okay guys, so before I start this video analysis, I just want to say that I don't have those fancy visuals because my passport has expired, so I cannot verify my PayPal, so I cannot make payment to the software company. But this is all going to be resolved in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I hope that you still enjoy the video regardless. Now, this is the sequence that has led to the Manchester United goal, to the Anthony Martial goal. And as you can see, just like what I said on the tactical board, it was because Wolves were very loose in their 4-4-2 shape. As you can see, this is their midfield with here Ruben Neves and Lemina trying to put pressure on Christian Eriksen and Casemiro. But of course, as you can see, the opportunity cost of that is quite high because Bruno Fernandes and here Sancho, who receives the ball, they have a lot of time on the ball in these areas right here. Now, as you can see, Semedo and Kilman, so Semedo the right back and Kilman the left-sided center back, they have to come and press aggressively in order to cover this area right here. But of course, that compromises the shape and organization of their defensive line. So here Bruno Fernandes, of course, at this point, everything we do well at its heart has Bruno Fernandes. Mwah! Love this guy, right? So he's running into the defense, beautifully timed pass, beautiful run by Antony. And Antony, beautiful pass, unselfish. This is how you should be, man. This is how you should be. And then beautiful goal. But as you can see, of course, this goal was made very easy for us because of Julian Lopetegui's 4-4-2 shape. It was very loose, it afforded us a lot of spaces, and we have the players who can hurt you if you afford them a lot of space. Now, in the second half, of course, as I've said, Wolves moved into a 4-3-3 formation, which was also kind of loose, but it allowed their players to have much more freedom when it comes to pressing. And here in this sequence, I'm going to show you how two of our players, our two center backs, Victor Lindelof and Rafael Varane, what a beautiful center back pairing they are. How they were able, using, their IQ, their intelligence, their movement to actually break Wolves' press. As you can see here, Wolves' press is quite, aggressive. They are like moving on to us, not letting our players have a lot of time. Only our center back can really have time. Look, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, before he gets the ball, he's being pressed over here. But now Varane does something that I've seen it happen under Erik Ten Hag quite a few times, but I've never seen it have such a dramatic effect as it did in this game. So maybe that's, something that we'll see more of next season. So he gives the ball to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but instead of waiting in that classic shape where it's the wing backs who go wide and the center backs stay deep, no, this is like a jigsaw shape over here. You see? So the center backs actually push forward and the right back comes in deep alongside the left-sided center back. Now here, Lindelof is pointing to who? I don't know, maybe Aaron Wan-Bissaka or Varane, but he has the idea in mind. And the idea that he's going to use is exactly this, bypassing the Wolves press with a smart pass to Varane, who already has moved forward. Beautiful, beautiful play, really intelligent movement and really intelligent passing from Lindelof over here. Now Varane can move with the ball forward. As you can see, those same five, the 3 forwards and 2 8s that Wolves can use to press aggressively in the second half, all of them were bypassed with this beautiful smart play by the Manchester United defenders. Now, this also has led to a very good opportunity. Antony, he's had a few. This was really close. I thought it was in. That's how close it was. Now, let's talk about this man right here. Jadon Sancho, Mr. Ineffective. Come on, this guy earns £350,000 a week. He's cost us 75 or 80 million pounds. This is not what you expect from that transfer. I think that now, after 2 seasons at the club, I think it's time to admit that it just didn't work out. I don't see this player with the same display that we've seen over the past few months turning into becoming the player that he was at Dortmund. I don't think that this transfer has worked out, and I don't think it will ever work out for him at Manchester United. Here, he just lost the ball cheaply against Ruben Neves in a lot of space. I mean, a winger should just run with the ball and just outrun defensive midfielder. And yet, Ruben Neves was able to win it easily. But then when you contrast this with Alejandro Garnacho, this is Alejandro Garnacho's goal. So, of course, again, Bruno Fernandes is going to find the right pass. But here, Garnacho, what I like about his run, this actually reminds me of that Marcus Rashford goal against Arsenal in our first game against Arsenal at Old Trafford. It was a similar situation, another deep pass from Bruno Fernandes, but of course Garnacho making a diagonal run in order to avoid the offside trap. Beautiful pass in space. Garnacho way faster than Sancho is. But here what I like about Garnacho's goal is that he will show how to be effective as a forward. Unlike what we've seen from Antony and Sancho, who are not really effective and they have a lot of junk in the way they play, Garnacho is very lean in the way he plays. So look here, for example, beautiful feint, just to get Semedo, just to make him lose his balance. That's it. Semedo now is out. Put it outside. Beautiful ball against and off the post, and then beautiful goal from Garnacho. He knows that his objective, his main goal is to score. So what can I do in terms of my dribbling, in terms of my techniques, my movement, my feint, in order for me to maximize my chances to score a goal? That's Garnacho. That's what he's done against West Ham in the FA Cup. That's what he's done against Fulham in the league right before the World Cup. This guy is a gem. He's going to be a big player for us. And to me, it really hurts. It really hurts that our best forwards over the past 5-6 years have been academy players. Garnacho, Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, right? And the players that we've spent a lot of money on, the likes of Mkhitaryan and the likes of, Mkhitaryan was free, but like the likes of Depay, for example, Anthony Martial, Anthony, and then Sancho, simply didn't work out. So what does this tell us? Trust in the youth, trust in the academy. But beautiful goal from Alejandro Garnacho. And then this man right here, our Swiss Army knife, Fred, was also crucial in us closing down the game and winning. At this stage, 87th minute, Wolves were having more and more control of the game, of course, as I've said earlier, but also they were getting closer and closer to our goal. They were putting in more crosses into the box, shooting more. And so Fred right here, who was introduced before the 87th minute, of course, allowed us to close the game. For example, this sequence right here. Beautiful dribbling, and then... it's this Ronaldinho, that's the Shakhtar Donetsk Fred over here. But this sequence right here, it might seem like, what is this all about? Well, it's about actually getting time, winning time, wasting time. This has wasted like 1 to 1.5 minutes without us doing anything. Passively, it helps us close out the game. Then again, Fred did this. Fred over here is going to read the game really well. Look how he anticipates where the ball is going. Great anticipation, sprints, cuts the ball. That's the first anticipation. Then the second anticipation, second interceptions. Beautiful turn, and then now he can lay the ball to Weghorst. This sequence also has resulted in a very good shot, a very good opportunity, beautiful save from the Wolves goalkeeper, who was, of course, amazing for them in this game. But then again, Fred, as you see, he was able to help us close down the game. And that's why I don't want us to sell Fred. Listen, you're never going to win the title by having Fred as a starter in midfield. I don't see that happening. He's not a complete player who can help you throughout the season, but he's a Swiss Army knife. He's a player who can play two main roles for us next season. And those are the two main roles where he's been effective for us this season. The first one, helping us close down games. This is why I said against Sevilla at home, at Old Trafford, had we introduced Fred instead of Elanga, we probably would have been through. Fred can help you close down the game as he did against Wolves in this game. Then, of course, when we play against teams that have some really talented midfielders who can hurt us, like as he did against Kevin De Bruyne against Manchester City or Frankie de Jong against Barcelona, Fred, just give him the Jisung Park role. And that's it. Just lock him on that midfielder, and then that's it. He's going to suffocate them and mark them out of the game. And so Fred is a really good utility player for us. Beautiful performance from him. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed this tactical analysis of our game against Wolves. Those are some crucial 3 points. Now we need 6 more points out of the 9 points that we have remaining in order for us to get Champions League football next season, regardless of what results Liverpool or Newcastle United get. Newcastle United, by the way, they dropped 2 points against Leeds United, so that is also great news for us. Now let's wait for Liverpool and the results on Monday night against Everton. But anyway, I am confident that we are going to get Champions League football next season, and I'm very satisfied with the progress that we have seen under Erik Ten Hag, and I'm really glad that we got Rafael Varane and Alejandro Garnacho back into the team, because what a difference they've made for us in this game. Anyway, guys, if you liked the video, please give it the thumbs up and please leave a comment in the comment section below, and cheers.